Well, maybe they take Christian because I've got his. That's Christian. You're hot. You're hot.
Well, President Xi, I want to thank you very much. First of all, that was an honor like few have ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but those children were amazing, and they represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you. You and I have known each other now for a long time. In fact, the longest relationship of our two countries that any president and president has had. And that's, to me, an honor. We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you, and you would call me. And whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly. We're going to have a fantastic future together. Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. And I just want to say on behalf of all of the great delegation that we have the greatest businessmen, the biggest, and I guess the best in the world. We have amazing people, and they're all with me. Every single one of them, we asked the top 30 in the world, every single one of them said yes. And I didn't want the second or the third in the company. I wanted only the top. And they're here today to pay respects to you and to China. And they look forward to trade and doing business. And it's going to be totally reciprocal on our behalf. So I really look very much forward to our discussion. It's a big discussion. There are those that say this is maybe the biggest summit ever. They can never remember anything like it. I can say in the United States, people aren't talking about anything else. But it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So a few days ago, President Trump went on a trip to China in what some are calling the biggest business meeting that he's ever been on since he's been president. And someone here says, it was a reference to this meeting that he went to China for. He says, this is absolutely insane. President Trump is currently flying to China with all the following people to request deals with China's President Xi. Number one, Elon Musk, who is the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA CEO. Tim Cook, Apple CEO. Larry Fink, BlackRock CEO. In fact, Larry Fink is the CEO for, like I said, for BlackRock, but I just wanted to go back and talk about him because BlackRock actually is an investment company that manages trillions of dollars worth of assets. And then we have Steven Schwartzman, Blackstone CEO, not to be confused with BlackRock. This is Blackstone, okay. When we have Kelly Ortberg, a Boeing CEO, Brian Sykes, Cargill CEO, Jane Fraser, Citigroup CEO, Larry Culp, General Electric CEO, David Solomon, Goldman Sachs CEO, Sanjay Mehrotra, Micron CEO, Cristiano Amon, Qualcomm CEO. So let me just finish reading this and I'll make a comment about this. President Trump also says there are many other CEOs joining him on the trip who have not yet been disclosed. Never in history has such a trip even remotely near this scale and caliber occurred. That's why they're saying this is Trump, the this Trump and Xi meeting is far bigger than most realize. Because there are these 12 who've been named, but there are others who haven't been named. So if the US and China hate each other, like we're always being told in the media, why would all these individuals, along with President Trump himself, be going there? If you look at some of these companies here, these companies are going there because a lot of manufacturing now takes place in China. So some of these CEOs are going there to see if they can make a deal with the Chinese to maybe, I think some of their products are already being manufactured in China, but maybe they want to up production of their goods in China. So they're going there to make a deal along with President Trump. Let's look at some other information here. It says the combined market cap of companies whose CEOs are on Air Force One. Looks like they were actually on Air Force One, which is the presidential plane. They were on this plane heading to Beijing. So NVIDIA, which was mentioned earlier, I won't go through all this. You can read that. You can stop the video and look at it yourself in your own time. But it says that the total market cap is 12.2 trillion, spelled with a T, trillion dollars on one plane. Okay, all those CEOs that I read about earlier, all these CEOs here, it says they were actually on this plane along with President Trump. Okay. And then here, remember, once again, we're trying to look at or answer the question whether America and China hate each other. It says here, must be where he picked up communism, referring to Xi Jinping being in California and San Francisco when he was 32 years old. They all the Chinese visit China. In fact, President Xi actually went to California a few years ago. Remember when California was actually cleaned up under the orders of Gavin Newsom, and then when Gavin Newsom was questioned as to why he cleaned California up before the visit of Xi Jinping, his visit to California, he said. They were basically questioning him why California wasn't cleaned up before. He said, "Well, it's the same when you know that visitors are coming to visit you at your home. You clean up your home before the visitors get there. But as soon as President Xi left and went back to China, everything went back to business as usual in California, with all the tents and the homeless sleeping on the streets and stuff like that, and all the litter and human excrement on the streets." So here we have a picture of, this is actually from this visit that Trump went to China, and of course you can see President Trump and Elon Musk there doing the communist fist with, I don't know who that is. Looks familiar, but I can't remember what his name is. Let's move on to the next one. And of course, there's no enmity here. These two are friends, okay? And I'll show you some evidence as to why I believe that to be the case. So here we have this book here, which I haven't read this book. I'm just, this quote I'm going to read is from this book, and I've read it before in a different video. This is from History of the Jesuits, Volume 1 by Andrew Steinmetz. And this is the person who's talking here in the quotes is the Jesuit superior general, who said to a French lord, "See, my lord, from this room I govern not only Paris but China, not only China but the whole world, without anyone knowing how it is managed." In other words, no one knows how it is managed. And when was this? This book was written in 1848. Okay, so this statement may have been made. Was made prior to 1848, but this general was already saying, but at that time he was already governing the whole world, pretty much. So that's the end of the video. Okay. So you can all make up your own minds. Do China and America hate each other? I don't believe that. In fact, the reason why China became the country where most manufacturing is done is partly because of NAFTA, which is NAFTA stands for North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement, which was an agreement between Mexico, America, and Canada. It was supposed to kind of help them support each other in terms of trade. But of course, what actually happened is, as usual with most things that happen in politics, it's not, we don't get told the truth. NAFTA actually resulted in most American manufacturing being moved to China, and of course some of it also Taiwan as well. Things like computer chips and stuff like that, most of them are made in Taiwan. And of course, the Chinese claim that Taiwan is part of their territory, but because of NAFTA, the manufacturing that used to be done in America was moved to China. I even have guitars here because I play the guitar, and some of my on the inside of my guitars it will say that the guitars are made in China. A lot of things are made in China. Here in Zimbabwe, and maybe this applies to other countries as well, you often hear of when something, let's say like a phone, like let's say my phone, I'm not saying that my phone is a bad phone, this is a good phone, it's a Samsung, but there are some phones which are low quality, or anything that's electronic that is low quality, they'll often say, oh, this is Xinjiang, meaning this was made in China. But I mean, those kind of statements are made due to ignorance. Most things are made in China. So you may have an electronic product, or even maybe a car or a phone, and it does not mean that everything, for instance, with my phone, it does not mean that this phone was made in China necessarily, but there are components in here that were made in China. Okay, so it's not right to say that because something is made in China, it's low quality. Most things are made in China. So that's I believe that's why President Trump went to China, because most manufacturing is done in China now. But I think they went there to try and strike more deals. That's why he was accompanied by so many other CEOs. But yeah, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just saying my understanding from my research. In fact, I've just thought of something quite interesting to share. If we go to Revelation chapter 18. Revelation chapter 18 is talking about spiritual Babylon, okay, which is the papacy. It says here, I'm looking for the part where it talks about merchants, because bearing in mind that I showed you that the CEOs on the plane in the Bible, they'll be referred to as merchants, okay. Let me just here, verse 11. Revelation 18, verse 11. The merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Okay. What is a merchant? A merchant is a businessman. Okay. Businessman or businesswoman, someone who's involved in trade. But of course, here we're not talking about just anybody that owns a shop or anything like that. We're talking about multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires. There we see that they were on the plane with President Trump, and they went to this meeting in China. Why are they mourning here in verse 11? Because Babylon is destroyed, basically. See here, verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her. And this fornication is spiritual fornication, not necessarily literal fornication, and lament over her. Who is the her? It is Babylon, okay? Spiritual Babylon, which is the papacy. Just trying to find it for you here. Yeah, see here, Babylon. This is referring to Babylon, okay? Babylon is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So that's why this is the merchants are mourning over Babylon, because she's destroyed by plagues, which it says here they come in one day. Okay. So let me just read this again, verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. What is the merchandise that they're selling? The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and iron and marble. So there are some things which we know, like electronic goods. It doesn't necessarily mention phones here, mobile phones and electric cars, and all this stuff. But most of that stuff is made from the things that are listed here. And there are some more things here which I've mentioned as well in verse 13, and cinnamon and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts. Beasts, yes, talking about things like sheep, goats, cattle, which I mentioned there, sheep and horses, chariots, and slaves, and the souls of men. So even human beings are being trafficked as well by these merchants. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. These merchants, verse 15, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her, who is the her mentioned here is Babylon, they shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold. Which city is this they're talking about? That great city, the Vatican. She was clothed in purple and scarlet. That's what the cardinals wear, okay, and the bishops, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Why are they saying, Alas, alas, for in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught? When it says come to naught, means come to nothing. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? So Babylon the Great, Babylon is also referred to as Babylon the Great. I think that's from Revelation chapter 17. He's talking about the papacy. Here you see, verse 5, Revelation 17, verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Now, I won't go too much into Revelation chapter 17 and 18 because I'll do some videos. I'll do some studies on those two chapters. So, yeah, just understand that this is what's actually happening. This has already been predicted in the Holy Scriptures, that these merchants of the earth are basically in bed with Babylon the Great, which is the papacy. It's the papacy that is allowing them to make money. But the papacy shall be destroyed when the plagues come down on her. Is predicted in Revelation, in the book of Revelation. Okay, that's what I wanted to share as to why Trump and all these CEOs went to China. Or maybe it gives you a better understanding of what's actually going on, and don't necessarily believe what they say in the media. Okay, and of course the Chinese, the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party, is not. They are persecuting Christians. I even watched a video yesterday of Christians who are not submitting themselves to the Chinese government, who are actually being persecuted. There's a lot of persecution of true Christians in China. There are some Christians as well who attend government-sanctioned churches, but the ones who decide not to follow what the government says, they find themselves being imprisoned and tortured and all this stuff. So China is not a very nice country towards Christians. But that's what's going on. I hope everything makes sense. And thanks for watching the video.